Life often feels like a river, sometimes calm, sometimes rough, sometimes overwhelming. What we carry inside, our thoughts, our fears, our focus, becomes the very weight that decides whether we sink or float. Too often, we clutch tightly to the stones of worry, regret, and negativity, until the very act of living feels unbearable. Yet, there exists a lighter path, one where gratitude becomes the paddle that helps us navigate even the fiercest currents. This is the story of Daniel, a young man who learned the hard way that you cannot solve problems by dwelling at the level of despair in which they were created. Instead, he discovered that the key to renewal lay in shifting focus, from what was broken to what remained whole, from what was lost to what was still given, from fear to gratitude. The early struggles. Daniel grew up in a bustling city where everyone seemed to be in a constant race. Life was not easy. His father passed away when he was still a teenager, leaving behind a family that struggled to survive. His mother worked tirelessly, and Daniel, being the eldest, felt an unspoken burden to hold the family together. As he grew older, Daniel faced setback after setback. He failed his first business attempt, lost friendships he once held dear, and endured long seasons of uncertainty about his future. Each failure became a shadow in his mind, a heavy thought replaying itself in endless circles. He would lie awake at night, replaying conversations, regretting decisions, thinking of what could have been. The more he thought, the heavier he felt. He believed that the only way to solve his problems was to think harder about them. Yet, all he did was sink deeper into frustration. Negative thoughts became his constant companions. He thought of himself as unlucky, perhaps even cursed. The world seemed unfair, and in that belief, he lost sight of small blessings around him, his mother's smile, his siblings' laughter, even the strength he had to keep moving. The burden of negativity. Negativity is like carrying a backpack full of rocks. One rock is worry, another is regret, another is fear, and another is anger. At first, the bag feels bearable, but with time, the weight becomes crushing. Daniel carried such a bag in his heart. Each day, he would add more rocks by holding on to old failures. He compared himself to others and concluded that he was behind in life. The more he thought, the more he drowned in helplessness. But here was the truth he didn't yet see. No problem has ever been solved by staring at it in despair. No seed ever grows by cursing the soil. Solutions do not appear when one's mind is clouded with negativity. They require a higher perspective, a lighter spirit, and a willingness to see differently. A turning point. One evening, after a particularly rough day, Daniel visited his grandmother in the village. She lived a simple life, no luxuries, no constant rushing, no endless worries about the future. When Daniel poured out his frustrations, his grandmother simply listened. Then she asked him to follow her outside. She pointed to the sky. "Do you see the stars?" she asked. Daniel nodded. "Those stars have been shining long before you were born, and they will keep shining long after you are gone. Yet not once do they compete with the sun or envy the moon. They shine because that is what they are meant to do. My son, you are carrying too many heavy stones. Put them down. If something cannot be changed, do not hold it in your mind like a prisoner. Instead, count what remains, the breath in your lungs, the food on your table, the family that still stands with you. Gratitude is lighter than regret. Gratitude is where healing begins." Those words struck Daniel deeply. He realized that for years, he had been staring only at his problems. He was holding them tightly as if constant thinking would make them vanish. But instead of disappearing, they multiplied. That night, Daniel wrote his first gratitude list. It was short, almost awkward. "My family is alive. I still have strength to walk. I have a roof over my head." It seemed too simple, almost childish. Yet as he wrote, he felt a small shift inside, like opening a window in a stuffy room. The practice of gratitude. Gratitude is not magic, but it is medicine. It does not erase problems, but it gives the heart the strength to face them with clarity. Daniel decided to make gratitude a daily practice. Each morning, he wrote down 3 things he was thankful for. At first, it felt forced. But with time, he began to notice things he had overlooked: the kindness of a stranger, the taste of clean water, the chance to try again after failure. Slowly, the weight of negativity began to lift. Problems remained, yes, but they no longer crushed him. Instead of asking, "Why me?" he started asking, "What can I learn?" Instead of dwelling on what was lost, he focused on what could be built. With a clearer mind, Daniel revisited his business idea. This time, he approached it not with desperation but with creativity. Gratitude gave him resilience, and resilience gave birth to new solutions. Transformation. Over the years, Daniel's life changed dramatically. His business grew, not into an empire, but into a steady source of livelihood. He supported his siblings' education and gave back to his community. But the greatest transformation was not in his bank account, it was in his heart. Where once he had lived in complaint, now he lived in appreciation. Where once he was blind to blessings, now he saw them everywhere. Even in difficult times, he had learned to ask, "What remains? What is still good?" People around him noticed the change. He smiled more, encouraged others, and spread hope. His journey became proof that while we cannot always control what happens to us, we can always choose what we hold in our minds. Reflection. The lesson of Daniel's story is timeless. Holding on to negativity does not lighten our load, it makes it heavier. Problems cannot be solved at the level of thinking where they were created. A higher perspective is needed, and gratitude provides that elevation. Anything beyond our control should not chain our minds. Acceptance and gratitude release us into peace. Life will never be without challenges. But gratitude is the key that unlocks resilience, creativity, and joy. Conclusion. We all carry burdens. Some are visible, others invisible. But the difference between being crushed and being uplifted lies in what we focus on. When we hold tightly to problems, they consume us. When we shift to gratitude, our hearts become lighter and our minds clearer. Daniel's story reminds us that gratitude does not deny the existence of problems, it simply refuses to give them all the power. Gratitude whispers, "Yes, life is hard, but look, here is still beauty, here is still strength, here is still hope." So, whenever life feels heavy, remember, put down the stones, count the stars, and let gratitude guide your path forward.